ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
I'm Sarah Konoski and I've got a special episode of Conversations to share. Kathleen Folbig telling her own story. For 2 decades, Kathleen was locked up in prison, wrongly convicted of the deaths of her 4 children, until friendship and science set her free.
I'm in prison accused of murdering my children. I didn't physically do it, but carried something that did.
Hear my interview with Kathleen Folbig right now on the ABC Listen app.
He's been so busy upending the norms of democracy, igniting trade disputes and trying but failing to end wars, it's hard to see how Donald Trump has time for renovations. But the US president's real estate development roots are on full show, from splashing gold around the Oval Office to ripping up the grass in the Rose Garden. He's on a mission to Trumpify the White House. Today, policy editor at the Bulwark, Mona Charen, on what Trump's up to and why. I'm Sam Hawley on Gadigal land in Sydney. This is ABC News Daily.
My name is Mona Charen. I am the policy editor at thebulwark.com, which is a publication that consists of former Republicans, Republican refugees from the Republican Party.
Yes.
And I began my professional career, let me put it this way. Early in my professional career, I worked in the White House under Ronald Reagan.
Mona, I suppose we should actually start by saying that Donald Trump is not dead, despite these rumours spreading around because he wasn't actually seen for a couple of days.
Yes, the rumor mill has become insane in our time.
How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
I didn't hear that one. That's pretty serious. Well, it's fake news. It's just.
There were always rumors, but they didn't used to dominate discourse the way they do now. It's crazy.
Oh, my gosh. Well, he is well and truly alive.
Yes, he is.
It's sort of crazy. But last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said, there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do them for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him.
And last month, a group of reporters was called to the White House to find Donald Trump on the roof. Just remind me of that.
Yes, he was on the roof planning his vast redesign of the whole White House complex, which had previously been announced.
Mr. President, what are you doing up there? Taking a little walk.
I worked in the White House many years ago, decades ago now, under the Reagan administration. And I think it's not just my own sentimentality that makes me say this, but the White House is a very gracious set of buildings. It's low to the ground. There's a certain symmetry to the way it is laid out. There's an east wing and a west wing. And then in the center is the residence that everyone is familiar with. And what Trump is proposing to do will just completely destroy the lovely, graceful lines of the White House complex.
A beautiful historic building. So let me just go back to this roof moment. He was up on that roof and he's shouting down to reporters, as I understand it. He's saying, just another way to spend my money.
More ways to spend my money.
Something beautiful, he said. So he was actually referring in this instance to creating a new ballroom, wasn't he, at the White House? So it was outlined after that moment by the White House press secretary, Carolyn Levitt. She was holding up pictures describing how wonderful and big this ballroom would be.
The White House is one of the most beautiful and historic buildings in the world. Yet the White House is currently unable to host major functions, honoring world leaders in other countries, without having to install a large and unsightly tent approximately 100 yards away from the main building's entrance. The White House.
Well, first of all, I would like to offer a little wager, if anybody would like to take me up on it, as to whether he will actually spend his own money.
Yes.
Very skeptical about that. But look, this ballroom that he proposes will be enormous. So it's going to replace what is the East Wing. It's used for a few different things. It's where the public tours of the White House originate from, and where people go through security and so forth. And it's also the offices of the First Lady. Well, this ballroom that Trump proposes to build will dwarf the entire complex. It'll be, several times larger than the West Wing. It will be tall. And also, shall we be frank here? It will be gaudy and tasteless and very much in the model of Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago comes to the Potomac.
There's never been a president that was good at ballrooms. I'm really good. In fact, I looked at one that we just built in Turnberry in Scotland, and it's incredible. We're good at building. I'm good at building things, and we'll get it built quickly and on time. It'll be beautiful, top of the line.
Yeah, okay. And not only just this ballroom, of course, because the whole White House seems to be getting, as you said, a bit of a Trump touch-up.
Yes.
When you look at the Oval Office now, wow, there's a fair bit of gold, isn't there, Mona?
Yes. Look, I'm so embarrassed as an American. Look, different presidents have the right to decorate their home as they see fit. So he does have the right to do this. He thinks that's classy.
Yes. Others say gaudy.
It's quite the opposite. It's grotesque. All of this wretched excess of so much gold. Talk about gilding the lily. The rest of us look at that in horror and think, what have you done to this beautiful building?
Oh my gosh. He's also ripped up the Rose Garden. He's taken all the grass out, hasn't he?
Yes,
and
he has.
Put pavers down. He told Fox News, I can't even say this out loud. He told Fox News the grass was no good for women with heels.
Yes, he did. Yes.
What was happening is they're supposed to have events. Every event you have, it's soaking wet. Yeah. It's soaking wet, and people can't. And the women with the high heels, it's just too much.
That's who did the Kavanaugh.
That's where
Kavanaugh
we did.
thing.
That's right.
Amy Coney Barrett.
And the grass it doesn't work, and we have a gorgeous stone and everything else.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that Rose Garden, it's historically significant, isn't it?
Sure.
So,
It's been the site of many great White House events. Bill Clinton had the ceremony where he nominated Ruth Bader Ginsburg there. It's been the site of countless greetings of foreign leaders. And Hollywood in general tends to imagine that the White House is enormous. And in fact, it isn't. It's actually fairly modest in size, which some of us think is appropriate for a democratic republic. And the Rose Garden itself is it's not huge. It was put in by John F. Kennedy, if I'm not mistaken. And Jackie Kennedy arranged for the roses, which have been carefully tended by White House gardeners ever since. And it brings... Because it's a garden, it brings a certain humanity, a certain gracefulness to a government building. And to pave it over it's just a crime. The specialness of that spot is completely destroyed. Now, of course, just as pavers can be put down, they can be ripped up again. But it's his sensibility that's the problem.
yeah. All right. Well, let's then, Mona, have a look at why he is actually doing this. As you said, other presidents have made changes to the White House, but he has gone a step further. There surely is rules, is there not? I mean, this is a historic building.
Yes.
Is there no one keeping a check on this at this point?
Well, there are rules in the District of Columbia which are actually quite strict about, for example, how tall you can build a building, and anytime you tamper with something that has historical significance, there is a panel that you're supposed to get the approval of first. But guess what? It doesn't apply to the White House. It doesn't apply to the president. Other presidents have had the good grace to ask permission before making major changes, although nobody has contemplated the kinds of changes we're talking about here. But, other previous presidents did, out of courtesy, go to the local officials and ask. And also there's the White House Historical Association, which is a private organization, but in a better world would weigh in on the appropriateness of the changes and how best to maintain the traditional style of the White House while perhaps making room for some changes. But apparently the president is actually immune from any requirement that he go before any of these bodies. He could do so, but he's choosing not to.
Of course, he's broken norms all over the place, hasn't he? Democratic norms, presidential norms.
That's right.
And you really see the changes to the White House, his renovations, if you like, as a metaphor for everything else that he's done. Just explain that.
Right. So though my heart breaks a little at the thought of a gaudy Mar-a-Lago-like structure in the place of the East Wing, part of me says, look, he is defacing and distorting so many other aspects of American life right now. He's destroying our standing in the world. He is pulling us away from our allies and attaching us to the most vicious tyrants around the world, for whom he seems to have some kind of affinity. He is trampling over the rule of law. He is sicking his Justice Department on people who criticize him. He is deploying troops to our major cities. I could go on and on. I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. But in light of that, since he is doing all of those things, it is actually fitting that there will be a physical representation of that desecration in the White House. That just as the country will never be the same after what he is doing to us, similarly, the White House will never be the same after he's finished with it.
Yeah, and even the courts seemingly can't stop him. They're trying.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. The courts are just getting off the couch, so let's wait and see on that.
All right, well, Mona, tell me, what do you think Americans have made of all of this? And what about his MAGA base? Do they like all this gold that he's splashing around?
The MAGA base are so brainwashed that they like everything he does and will not criticize anything. As for the others, I think there's a vast middle that's never liked Trump, but enough of them were willing to vote for him because of high prices and because they felt Biden was so incompetent and so old. I am of the school that thinks things have to get very, very bad for the average person. Like there has to be inflation, there have to be job losses, there has to be real economic pain for them to truly regret their votes.
For them to realize he has gold and they don't.
Right.
Well, tell me, what next then? Because Trump has until, 2029? So he could make a lot of changes to the White House between now and then. Is there more to come, do you think?
I think they should just put a huge clown nose on the building. That might be the most appropriate change they could make.
Oh, gosh. And when he's gone, though, what will happen? Will the next president take it all down, rip it all up and return it to...
No, absolutely not. Because the next president will either be someone who cheers it on and would not dream of touching a thing that was Trumpian, or the next president will be a responsible person who would recognize that it would be a terrible waste of taxpayer money to tear something down that was perfectly usable. So we're stuck.
Mona Charen is the policy editor of the Bulwark and the host of the Beg to Differ podcast. This episode was produced by Sydney Peed. Audio production by Sam Dunn. Our supervising producer is David Cody. I'm Sam Hawley. ABC News Daily will be back again on Monday. Thanks for listening.